Hey folks, welcome to Dad Devotionals. I want to introduce you to today's guest, Raphael Fiedler. He's the creator of Orthodox Review. He started his YouTube channel in October of last year, where he discusses assorted Orthodox prayer books, service books, and other items. The Orthodox Review YouTube channel stands at 700 subscribers right now, with about 27,000 views. And he joins us today to discuss this and more. Raphael, welcome to the program. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show. It's always nice to to be asked about books.
Absolutely. So before we dive into Orthodox Review, I like to ask guests about their Orthodox journey, because some of us obviously were born into it. Some of us, kind of found it on a winding path. What's your story to Orthodoxy?
Well, it actually started, I want to say back in 2008, kind of by accident, when I had been away from the church for about 10 years. And then when I started looking and getting back into church, I had seen a few websites about Orthodox churches, and I was like, this is kind of weird. So fast forward to about 2011, 2012, and I was actually studying some precursor courses for seminary in the Episcopal Church. And as I usually say, they made the grave mistake of teaching me things like history, and and it wasn't too long before I started asking myself, well, this ancient church still exists. Where is it? Because if I'm doing things wrong, I want to correct that. I want to start doing them right. And it just so happened that we were doing something locally called Theology Pub, where all the local churches were getting together and having like these lecture series. And so that particular year, it was liturgical music, and one of the speakers was my now choir director, who is a dear friend of mine, Chris McGarvey, and he did a presentation on Byzantine chant and liturgical music. And I said, well, that if I were to say that's what heaven sounds like, then yeah, that's it. So he said, yeah, come down, check us out someday. So one Sunday, I went to St. Basil Orthodox Church in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I have not left since.
All
and
right.
That was about 8 years ago now.
That's incredible. God bless you. I guess, so you were in seminary. So are there any thoughts of pursuing, becoming a deacon, becoming a priest?
Early on, I was still into it because, ever since I was a little kid, I was raised Roman Catholic initially.
Same here.
So since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be a priest. And so after I, became Orthodox, I was like, well, yeah, it's still maybe a thing, possibly, maybe a deacon. And then as the years have gone on, and I've realized that I am just horribly unworthy of even being a reader, let alone anything else. So at this point, I've just kind of relegated myself to being like, I'm just going to work on trying to be Christian,
Sure.
and just go with that.
Well, the beautiful thing is, though, you do have a ministry in a sense here with Orthodox Review. So why did you decide to start that? Tell us about that.
Honestly, I kind of started out of boredom and a bit of self-therapy. I've always collected prayer books. I've got quite a few. And so I always kind of liked comparing texts and kind of scrutinizing them a bit. And I was always looking for someone to kind of nerd out about it with. And I got a couple acquaintances locally that sometimes we can talk about it, but they're really not as into it as I am. So I was like, well, why don't I put it out there and see if people on the internet want to talk about this thing? And it has to be someone out there that wants to, chat about this stuff. And so I started doing these little reviews, like, because I was excited about them, and it just kind of started taking off. The first few episodes were books that were recently published, because like you said, back in October, we had from St. Tikhon's, we had the new Jordanville, and I've always been a big fan of New Room Press. So I wanted to talk about that. So that's really kind of what pushed me over the edge of starting to create content. And to my surprise and utter glee, people seem to be into it. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I want to talk about. A lot of things, I when I started the Dad Devotionals podcast, actually just in March,
Hmm.
things in Orthodoxy can be very niche. It's a
Yes.
very niche demographic. So, you wonder about growth, but you seem to be steadily growing. I mean, 6 months in, that's usually a good barometer for how things are going. And, what's the feedback you're receiving so far? I mean, 27,000 views. I mean, you see it in numbers, but what about in terms of comments and emails and stuff?
Um, that's actually the best part about the show, because not only do people like, because yeah, I say in a lot of my videos, I'm like, let's talk about the book in the comments section, and people do. They ask questions, and it's great.
That's
And
awesome.
what's even better than that is when people correct me or add information, like,
Sure.
because now I'm learning more.
Yeah.
Um, so the comments have been great. You have every now and again you'll have some, oh, you're going to heck for this, that, or the other thing,
Right.
or the Western right seems to be a big point of contention. But I review books. These are Orthodox books. I'm going to review them. Um, but the greatest surprise to me and joy is that people are willing to help out. And so, like, I'll be talking about a book, and then a viewer will reach out and be like, hey, what's your address, let me send you a book.
Sure.
And so I've gotten a few books from viewers, uh simply because it's like it's something they're passionate about. They want me to share it with other people.
Mhm.
And so now it's becoming a very, very cool and humbling experience, because it's like, I started this thinking, oh, I'm passionate about these books, I want to throw them out there for other people, and other people are like, oh, but check this out. And I think, and so it's become the sharing community
Yeah. Yeah.
where I've gotten to the point where I really rely on people's feedback to kind of help rudder me in whatever direction I need to go.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I mean, it's so cool to see. You're kind of immersed in this,
Hmm.
and you're really invested in it. I mean, obviously, you have a little bit of a past where you already knew you were interested in doing this kind of thing, but until you put it out there in the world, you really don't know. I mean, I've run other websites in the past that weren't Christian based; that were more focused on personal finance and money.
Hmm.
And you get yourself involved in it. You really become get that love for it, and get the desire to share. And then you have people providing the feedback, providing those comments. It helps you, I don't know, it just helps strengthen that interest in it for you. So for my question to you is, though, as you're doing this, has this brought you closer to your faith? Do you feel an even deeper faith as a result of doing this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd say that it's it keeps me accountable to a certain
Mm,
degree. When the channel started, I thought I'd do, like, liturgical books, prayer books, service books, that sort of thing, and just kind of leave it at that, and just kind of let it be an outlet. And then as people started asking me to start doing other books, I was like, yeah, okay. Well, it got me back into reading, and making that reading consistent.
sure,
And
sure.
so I now I'm glad that I have this thing that keeps me reading,
Mm,
that keeps me engaged with spiritual reading, and reaching out to my priest now more. Now that I'm processing
Yep,
more of this information, so now I'm
I know what
talking to
you
my
mean.
priest more about it. And so I'm really grateful that I have this to help keep me going, especially now with the quarantines and the stay-at-home orders. If I didn't have this outlet to lean on, I shudder to think where I would be,
Yeah.
um, with my personal faith and just my overall attitude.
No, absolutely. And I know for me, the whole reason, so I read in church. I read when I was in Catholicism, and I read now for
Hmm.
Orthodoxy. And I started as a Facebook page just to kind of share Facebook lives, and then it just kind of morphed over the weeks, really, to doing interviews with folks like yourself. So
Right
I
on.
understand. I understand. It keeps you engaged,
Hmm.
proactively in the faith. And it's helped me try to understand some more things about myself too internally, that I know I got to work through, and that I share on the podcast.
Absolutely.
So I
There's
can
nothing quite
appreciate.
like putting yourself under that lens, that microscope, and
Yeah.
really digging into the rough bits.
I'll hear feedback from guests, and I'll just I'll think, oh yeah, that's something I need to work on. So I feel like God's just saying, hey, you're bringing the right people on. I'm working on you right now.
Excellent.
So two-part question for you here. What has
Sure.
your favorite video been so far? And what about your followers? Tough one, I know.
Well, I know what my followers' favorite video has been thus far, probably because it's the most controversial. When I did a review on Orthodoxy and the Kingdom of Satan by Father Spirit and Bailey,
Yes.
which is a great book, fascinating and insightful, and to someone who's not used to looking at the conspiracy theory edge of certain things, it can be a bit overwhelming. But that's what's cool about it, because people, I'm not even part of the discussion anymore. Other people are just kind of going back and forth, and they're in this thing, and it's like they're talking, great, fantastic. So I'm pretty sure that's a lot of people's favorite. As far as mine is, that's a rough one, because I'll go back and think about books that I've done where it's just like I remember like the excitement of wanting to talk about it, like when I did one of the very first episodes I did was on the new Jordanville, the Pocket prayer book. I was talking about how it could be augmented and updated, so like it could replace the regular Jordanville if it was this size, and then comparing it to their Pocket Psalter and stuff. And like I had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah.
And so that one always kind of sticks out to me. But I would say any video where the cat gets in the way is one of my favorites.
Hey, you always got to have a co-host, right?
Right. Yeah.
It makes it fun. And plus, I mean, the internet loves cat videos. So, I mean,
yes,
you're wrong there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Spooky Cat has become quite the little celebrity herself.
That's right.
So.
That's right. Any plans to, do anything outside of just the videos or posting them elsewhere? Me posting, longer content on something like a Vimeo, or doing a documentary. I just had Sam Cox on, and his actually went live on Monday. So anything like that?
Eventually, God willing. At this point, it's just a matter of the equipment I have at my disposal and financing. At this point, I literally, everything I do is done on my cell phone.
That's amazing, man.
All the filming, the editing, everything. Because what I'm talking to you on right now is a 5-6-year-old Chromebook that my mom gave me. So, and that's all I have to work with right now. So God willing, as the months go on, if Patreon support picks up enough, and I can start investing in maybe a computer and some editing software, I would love to start doing like mini documentaries. Start doing interviews with some of the authors.
That's what I was going to say.
Because I mean, I've talked with publishers. Like publishers are now reaching out to me, which is blowing my mind. It's like, okay, that's cool. Like when someone from Holy Trinity or St. Vlad's reaches out to you, hey, can we send you a book to review? Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
It's like still very surreal. It's all very early, but eventually, I would love to just start just getting super creative, like, because it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun doing this,
and that's the important thing. Who are those movie critics back in the day? Siskel and Ebert. You're like the Siskel and Ebert of Orthodoxy,
Oh my goodness.
There you go.
I'm certainly not at that level. I'm just a weirdo that hangs out in his room and reads books and likes talking about them. Like, I don't want to put myself above anything more than that. So.
Is there any upcoming book reviews that you want to kind of like, spoiler alert, tease us now, reveal to us?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. So I have one viewer, and I'm not going to say who he is. I'm just going to keep his anonymity, but he's a nurse in a COVID unit, and he's going through a rough patch right now because he's afraid that this could affect him. It could take him out. And so he turned me on to a few books that I didn't know existed. And he actually went above and beyond and sent me all these books.
Wow.
So what I'm working on right now, there's a 4-volume set called the Iber Gentinos, which is the complete sayings of the Desert Fathers. This is volume 1. I'm working on it. Volume 1 is 400 and some odd pages long. This is the shortest one.
Wow.
Uh, and the other one, which came in from Greece, is an Athenite Geronticon, which is another probably 600 pages. 640, 650, 657.
Must be quite the speed reader.
No, I'm not. But I have to, I make myself go through it. I'll admit that sometimes I do skip a bit, just so I can get enough information to put it out there. But these, especially, like this person had said, that they're a great spiritual comfort to them. And like I was saying before about wanting to share books that you love with other people,
Right.
that's what this person's doing, and I can totally see why. So I'm happy to take on this little struggle and share these books with people. So,
Well, labor of love. I mean, that's what it is. It's almost an asceticism for you. You know, you get closer to God in the process, which is incredible.
Absolutely. And thank God for all the stay-at-home stuff. I have the time to read them.
Exactly. Well, I just shout out to the Way of the Aesthetics.
Oh, yeah.
That's sitting on my desk here. And since you already got stuff, I just want to throw these out there. I don't know if you've seen this. This is the Hours of Prayer, a book of devotion from the Orthodox Brotherhood of the Virgin Mary. So I can send you information on those.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It off my bookshelf before we. This is one of my favorites. I love this. Father Arseni. Oh, man.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
I read that one as a catechumen, and let me tell you.
Seriously. Yeah.
Fabulous. Fantastic book.
Another long one. It's in the, let's see here. It's in the 300s, so a little bit lighter than what you're working on right now, but Ephraim the Syrian. So just throwing hymns from him. My priest gave me, actually the priest that helped with my conversion gave that to me.
Right on.
So
I do have the SVS Press book of some of his hymns. And actually, arriving in the mail today should be that newer publication of Hymns of Repentance by St. Romanos.
Nice.
But you know that Eastern spiritual classic series that you got there, I do have from them Maximus the Confessor and Celtic Spirituality. So,
oh man,
which I have yet to put on the show. I've got a back catalog. That's. Do
you got any Celt background in there? I wasn't sure if I saw some red in the beard or not.
Yeah, actually, I did a DNA test recently, and it turns out that I am Celtic as all get out.
Nice.
So,
good to know. See, another reveal here on the Dad Devotionals podcast.
There you go. Yeah, the guy with the German last name turns out to be Celtic. Go for it.
Gotta love it. Last question, man. Where can we find out more about what you got going on, and how can we support you?
All right. As you know, Orthodox Review on YouTube, obviously. We do have Patreon, which is patreon.com/Orthodox Review. There is a PayPal tip jar. You can PayPal me at Raphael Fiedler. We're on Instagram, Orthodox_Review_. And that's pretty much all I got. I sometimes give the link out to a buy list on Amazon, where when I'm in need of books and I need some help, people can go to that list and order a book and send it. Obviously, I've got plenty of books on right now, so I don't need to share that. But if you're discerning enough, you'll find the link. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just
excellent, Raphael. This was great, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm always happy to talk about books.
Yeah, no, definitely. And this was enlightening for me, you know, coming on. I mean, I had some questions that I wanted to ask you, obviously, and I thought you were doing an amazing job with what you had going on with Orthodox Review, but I thought this took an interesting turn with just learning more about your journey and, you know, some of the things that you've experienced in this process. Just incredible.
Well,
really an inspiration.
For all things, man.
Yeah. Amen. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and we'll definitely have you back sometime in the future to discuss more what you have going on.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me, Dave.
Thank you.